I'm not that young single girl I was. I'm a married woman. I've had 2 children. You've skipped 3 scenes. And I was like, and then literally, so that happened to me once. I died in Manmadhudu as well. And Raghavendra.
Oh, you died in both films?
Yeah. That's why I think people thought I actually died in real life. Yeah. I was like, oh my God, I want to be so popular with my friends. That's what mattered back then, how popular and cool you look. Learn to become stronger. It doesn't happen overnight. Experiences make you stronger.
Are you a loser? Are you a freak? Do you need a lover? Don't talk to me. Don't talk to me. Don't bother me.
Welcome to Real Strugglers, where we talk to real filmmakers and actors about their struggles working in the chaotic world of films. Today, our guest is Anshu, and Anshu is an actor who has been MIA for the last how many years? At least MIA in India. She's been doing theatre in London and in the UK. How many years has it been since you've been back to Hyderabad?
I have returned after 22 years.
22 years.
21, 22 years, yeah.
I met Anshu when I was 6 or 7 or 8. I can't remember. And she was barely any older than me. And my mom was doing the costumes for Manmadhudu, and that was your first film?
Yeah. Manmadhudu was the first.
Were you acting in any capacity in school when you were in the UK, or how did that happen?
Yeah, so I was obviously doing theatre, drama at school, and I was actually working for an independent company doing shows, Punjabi plays. So yeah, I had that theatrical background. And obviously from quite a young age, I think I started that at like 14. So I'd do shows, we'd go touring different parts of the UK. That was sort of my background before I did Manmadhudu.
And how the hell did they find you?
You know what? Everyone asks me that. A very simple story. My father was very good friends with a cinematographer. His name is Kabir Lal. So he's quite a big cinematographer.
Oh, I've worked with two of his brothers.
Oh, have you?
Yeah.
Small world. Yeah, so obviously he's done big films in Bollywood, like, you know, Dal and all the big movies. And so good friends with Dad. He must have seen one of my shows when he was visiting London, and that was that. And obviously 2-3 years later, he spoke to Dad and said, you know, there's this film happening and Annapurna Studios are producing it and they're looking for a new girl. And would Anshu be interested? Dad asked me, and I was like, yeah, especially when I heard that Nagsa was obviously the actor, the main hero of the film. And I remember growing up watching his movies, like the Hindi ones anyway, so like Khuda Gawar, Criminal. So I was like, totally yes. Yeah, like my details were put forward and I was contacted by Annapurna Studios. They arranged for me to come out to Hyderabad to attend like an audition, screen test, they called it back then, just to see if Nagsa and I look good together. And obviously we did. So, went back after 2 days. And then I think a few days later, they called to say, yeah, we'd like to go ahead. And then that was that, basically.
And did you have to take off school at the time, or how did it work?
So when they called me for the audition, we were trying to figure out when to go. Obviously, a weekend would have been ideal. But thankfully, I say thankfully, probably not at the time, but there was a teacher strike, and which meant it bought me another day or 2 in the week. So yeah, we literally flew out within sort of maybe between like a Thursday and Sunday. And so that was that. But obviously when I came back and then they offered the film, it was like, but I've still got my exams. My exams are in like 3 months. They want to start in like 2 months.
Were they your A-levels?
Yeah, no, they were my GCSEs.
Okay. So you were in the 10th grade at the time?
Yeah, so it's like high school.
Yeah.
Like I can't not do my high school exams. And I guess before you go to university or college, people tend to take like a gap year, go traveling before they sort of commit to more education. But normally people don't do it after high school. So anyway, we explained the situation, that it's really important I do the exams, and they were really understanding and very accommodating, which was very nice. And so I just basically came as soon as the exams are done. And it kind of worked out well because it was over the summer period. So I was like, okay, I can do this film. They only need X amount of days, and then I'll go back and just do my college A-levels. Obviously, that didn't happen because the film did quite well. So I ended up staying and utilizing that period. So yeah.
Were you living in Hyderabad at the time?
Yes.
So you planned to settle here for a bit and explore things, or how did that
You
work?
know what, Karan? I don't plan. I just go with the flow.
Yeah, even at 16.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, the plan was just to go do the film and then come back after the summer holidays, ready for the next academic year. But obviously the film released within that time, stayed a bit longer. And yeah, as they say, the rest was sort of history.
And the second film happened simultaneously or right after this? How did that work?
Right after.
Right
Yeah.
after.
So I got offered that film.
Based on Manmadhudu.
Yeah. So I think the film had released. It's been such a long time. It's really difficult to remember the exact dates, but it was definitely after. Because I remember Prabhas had done Ishwar and I had done Manmadhudu, and we were coming together for our second film. So yeah.
I'm not sure if you may remember this, but so when you were on set for the first time doing these films in a language you had never spoken before,
Yeah.
probably never even heard anyone talk to you
Yeah.
talk in before. How did you do your scenes? Were there a lot of rehearsals? Did the director have to like break down every single beat for you, or did you have like an English version? How did you do it?
So there was not really any rehearsals. Obviously, the director would sit down and discuss the scene with me, what was required. I obviously heard the script beforehand, so I knew the story and I kind of visualized the character a little bit in my mind. But in terms of the language, obviously, it was a huge barrier. But what was quite reassuring for me was at that time knowing that actually most of the actresses never spoke Telugu. From my knowledge and from what I remember when I was working, there were not any local sort of actresses Telugu speaking. They were mostly from like Bombay or from Bollywood.
Yeah, it's become more, now they're casting more people from the South.
Yeah, which is lovely actually.
Yeah.
That's the right thing, I believe. But, at the time I knew I wasn't alone. And they would just literally have it written for me in English. And obviously I spoke it the best way I could. Obviously it wasn't like perfect, but then that's where the dubbing sort of happens and helps me out. So
Were you happy with the person who dubbed for you?
absolutely. She sounded so sweet and cute to the point that even I was like, that's not how I sound. But yeah, she was lovely. And I think that played a huge part in my character because I was already playing this sweet young girl and her voice was just so sweet. It just worked. And I think people remember that. It's the voice.
Were there any scenes that you found challenging at the time that were hard to do, like anything that took an emotional toll or something that you couldn't get in the first go or took more prep to work towards?
I wouldn't say scenes, more the songs.
Okay.
I remember one step in Gundeloe Mundo that I just wasn't getting. And I had a really strict dance master. He was lovely, but he wanted what he wanted, and I just wasn't giving it to him. There's just one step. And actually, when I look at it now, I'm just like, this is the easiest thing ever. Maybe there was slight lack of confidence, not being used to this big set and crew. But scenes-wise, I don't think so. No.
Were you nervous because of the size of the set and the scale of things? Or?
Initially.
Yeah.
And then you just kind of just get on with it.
Go on
You get
with
to
it,
know the team and the crew, and they're all like, you're just this big, fat, happy family. So, yeah, and you just get used to them.
So from your first film to your second film, I'm sure the confidence grew and you kind of knew how to do things in a more...
100% my confidence grew, because when I watched Manmadhudu, I could see, like, there were moments where I was watching and I was like, cringe. I could have done this, I could have done it this way. And I guess that's what happens film after film, you grow. Even with theatre, when I did theatre, it was like every show, I would be like, oh my God, I should have done it this way. And then the next one, I'd be like very mindful of ensuring I didn't make the mistake I probably did on the first show. So you do grow naturally. In any field, you will grow.
So after your second film, you moved back to the UK.
I did a guest role in a movie called Miss Summer with Bhumika Javla. Followed by that, I did a Tamil film called Jay.
Okay.
And that was with Prashant Thiagarajan. So that was also a family film produced by his father. So yeah, I've done 4 films. Obviously, Miss Summer was just one scene, but it was quite impactful. So yeah.
So this was over how many years?
2.
Over 2 years,
Yeah.
all this took place. And then you went back, you finished your 11th, 12th, year 13.
So then I did my A-levels. So the exams you do before going to university. Then I went to university, did my degree, my master's.
Did you study drama in any
Absolutely
capacity?
not. No.
So that was just something you were doing on the side?
Yeah, it was more a passion. I mean, I love doing drama as a subject at school, but it wasn't something that I did, I guess, professionally. I guess at that age, you're still very confused. Is it a risk worth taking? What are the career prospects? You know, you could fail miserably. Then what? What are you going to do with a drama degree? So those thoughts come up. So I focused very much on the psychology side and eventually became a cognitive behavioral therapist. So that was a good career to sort of move towards for me. And obviously mental health is so up my street. I'm always advocating about mental health. When I see people and they say, oh, I'm nervous, or I'm feeling like this, I'm so worried or anxious, I'm right in there. I'm like, okay, let's break this down. Let's dissect this. Let's do some formula and figure out what's going on, what's triggering you, what's, you know, and then, you know, you get to the bottom of things. So I really enjoy that.
And okay, so then why did you go back?
A lot of people ask me that, and it's a really difficult question to answer. There's still a lot of gaps in my understanding of what was going on, a lot of question marks. I guess a big factor was my age and my independence and lack of knowledge, and I guess lack of education within the industry, as well as personally. Like, I wasn't really that educated. I had my high school exams behind my belt, but, you know, there was a lot that was missing. That would show when I was doing interviews back then. I wasn't speaking like this. There was a lack of confidence. So, you know, in a nutshell, I was alone. My siblings were back home. I was with my father. And obviously he's very protective, making sure, you know, everything's happening in the right way. You hear a lot of stories about the film industry.
Yeah.
So, you know, his protection was very heightened. And I guess, you know, access to me was limited. So if there was a director or a script writer or a production house that wanted to meet with me, they had to obviously go through my father, and that access wasn't there. So as much as I was loving the limelight, loving the work, once the work was done, I was just back in my hotel room and life was really lonely.
Yeah.
And I was very isolated. And, you know, obviously I made loads of friends on set, you know, like my styling team or just anyone. And, you know, if I was to say to my father, Dad, you know, I've made some friends, we're just going to go bowling or we're going to go to the cinema, the answer's going to be, no, you're not. But obviously back home, if I said, oh, Dad, going out with my friends to the cinema, yeah, go. Obviously I've known them all my life.
Yeah.
But when you're in a different country, and the thing is, although my father was Indian, from India, he'd never been to South. He'd never been to Hyderabad. So he himself was still learning and trying to understand the system. Back then, we didn't have managers and PRs and people that represented you. I think you had that a lot more now. So it was very difficult and it was very hard.
Were you upset when you moved back, or was it like bittersweet?
I was upset. I'm not going to lie. I never admitted it at the time. Bittersweet for sure. I wanted to be an actress, but you can't have it all. You know, I wanted to be here. I wanted to carry on working, but I wanted my independence as well, which I wasn't really allowed to have, understandably. You know, there's no like bad feelings towards anyone, but, you know, I couldn't have that. And, you know, I guess people in the industry are very like, okay, it's work, you know, it's very structured. Whereas when I came, it was just like everyone's my friend, everyone's family. And they were actually like that. They were very lovely. But then once the film's done, it's done. They don't owe you anything.
Yeah.
Whereas maybe my expectation was, okay, why have they stopped calling? And, you know, it's also like that detachment. It's like somebody, it's almost like a bereavement.
Yeah.
You've been with this team and then all of a sudden your job's done and they're on to the next movie or the next.
And you're also on to the next thing.
Yeah,
Everyone
I am
just
as well,
goes in
to be
their
fair.
different directions.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, mixed feelings, I would say.
So then, okay, you went back to the UK. You wanted to study psychology, and were you training in acting in any way on the side, because you did want to be an actor?
I didn't do any sort of training as such, although saying that I did attend an acting school in Mumbai.
When was that?
I was probably 14.
14?
I know, right?
Oh, see, this is way before Manmadhudu.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
okay.
obviously I took it seriously to an extent because I was doing theatre. And then obviously the dream would have been to do a nice Indian film at one point. You know, I said to my dad, I'd love to go to this school in Mumbai. It's really famous. All the big stars go there. And
Which one was it?
it was called the Kishore Namit Kapoor Acting Institute. Yeah, so that was a really cool experience because obviously there were loads of star kids. So you got to meet people and, yeah, it was nice. It was definitely, I learned a lot from that. Things that you probably didn't need to think about before. So, your diction, singing was like a really big thing. I was like, this is interesting. So they want actors to sing. And I thought, well, they will have playback singers. Why do I need to know how to sing? But it's very much the whole holistic package, right?
Right, yeah. So when you were doing these plays in the UK, the Punjabi plays, how was the group put together? How was it organized?
It was very informal.
Okay.
Somebody was asking me this actually the other day. How did you get into that? I said it was so easy. My local postman was basically an actor. He was a postman as like a side hustle. One of them was a side hustle, clearly. I think it was the job as a postman. But yeah, he basically used to produce and direct multiple plays. And again, he was friendly with Dad. He used to post all our letters that we'd get. And, my dad used to say, yeah, and she does theatre and at school and she loves acting and she really wants to get into it. And he goes, we're looking for a girl, let's get her rolling. Let's see what she's like, what she got. So yeah, and that was that.
So when you do these things, most of you, I'm guessing, are untrained. So like there probably a lot of like exercises you guys do in your rehearsals to kind of loosen up and break people down.
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of shouting.
Yeah?
Yeah, a lot of like vocal
Opening the voice.
Yes, yes. Gosh, that just reminded me. Yeah, we did a lot of that. Some of the actors were trained. They'd been in like TV shows and stuff.
Okay.
Some were not.
Were any of them in any famous shows?
I don't know if you've heard of Goodness Gracious Me.
I love Goodness
Oh
Gracious
my God,
Me.
yeah. So there was like an actor, don't ask me names, but there was an actor who was on that show. Not the main guy, Sanjeev Bhaskar, I know who he is. But yeah, there were actors from there. And actually many years later, when Bend It Like Beckham released, I recognized a couple of the actors because they did theatre with me.
Okay.
So yeah, so some were trained, some were untrained. But what was really nice and refreshing was there was no judgment, because actually you can learn on the job. I have done lots of jobs out of acting where I didn't know what on earth I was doing, but you learn on the job. And I feel very strongly about that. When people say, well, it's good, you should invest in your craft. If you don't have work as an actor, you should, do workshops or, do something to enhance your ability to be better. I do believe that, but I also believe that sometimes you don't know how good you are unless you try.
Yeah.
And you can be mentored. I was mentored yes, I did a bit of theatre beforehand, but I was still very much a raw actress. And it's obvious when you see the film.
I mean, also, like you said, people are a little scared to attempt things without any formal training, right?
Yeah.
For example, if I had to act in something, I wouldn't want to get in front of people and like embarrass myself, because in my head, I'm embarrassing myself. So breaking that inhibition is also something that actors have to work towards. And does that happen with what you were doing in theatre? Or did that happen slowly, or were you comfortable from
I
the go?
guess if I was in a position where I was like, oh, I can't do this, or, it's something I myself wasn't confident in, I don't think I would pursue it. There's two different types of nerves, I guess. One where you can do it, but you're just slightly nervous. And then there's one where I can't do this. I'm going to be rubbish. I'm going to embarrass myself in front of people. You need to work on that first before you present yourself, because then you're actually wasting time, other people's time as well as your own. So you do need to work on that to a certain degree. But of course I was nervous before I did Manmadhudu, but not to that degree. Nervous more because I was working with Nag. And,
That was a huge setup.
Yeah, so that nerve was there. I mean, it's almost like, I don't know, a cool happening actress now having the opportunity to work with, say, Amitabh Bachchan.
Yeah.
They would feel nerves,
Yeah,
right?
of course.
They would be like, oh my God. But they'll get on with it.
Yeah. Well, I think once day one is over, then from day two on, your colleagues and whoever see each other every day.
Absolutely. And it's very much an exposure and habituation situation.
True.
So you expose yourself to your most fearful stimuli, and you do that repeatedly. So this is my psychology coming in, but you really do that repeatedly for like 4 or 5 times in a week. And then you habituate, you just get used to it, and that anxiety just goes. It actually does. It's evidence-based.
Okay, so then when you went back, did you continue theatre in any way, or did you
Yes.
come back to it at a later age?
I continued with my studies, took a break from theatre for a couple of years, and then I joined with another production group for, again, a set of shows. We were touring.
Were these fringe plays, or is that what they call them in the UK? The ones that play the ones that they do in the top of the pub? Like they have like rounds.
No,
Not one of those.
Oh God, I wouldn't be allowed to do that. My dad would be like, no chance is my daughter performing in a bar. No, proper theatre halls.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, professional theatre plays.
And did you ever think of getting an agent, or how does that work? Did you ever try, because there are a lot of roles for Indians as well in the UK. Did you ever
Yes, I did
consider
try, and I failed miserably. And I'll tell you why. From my knowledge, understanding, and my research, in the UK, you need to have drama background. Doesn't matter if you've done 100 films. Did you attend the Royal Academy of Dramatic Arts? Have you got this qualification? It's very much about the specific training, like degrees and masters and all of that within drama. And this is why I liked India so much, because actually, if you can act and you can do the job, you're welcome.
Yeah.
Whereas in England, it's very different. And, you know, although I'd done so many shows, you know, I had work to show. I'd done films in India. Doesn't really mean anything. If you don't have that qualification.
Yeah, I think now it's starting to mean something, because the Indian market is so big. It'd be stupid for them to kind of like neglect it or ignore it.
Absolutely, yeah.
But at that time, when without social media, everyone kind of like looked at it in a different way.
Very different. There was no social media.
Yeah.
There probably was, but very little. But not like it is now.
So you basically never tried beyond
Didn't
that?
try hard enough, yeah.
Okay.
And I think when I got those couple of rejections that, you know, unfortunately we need people with a theatrical background professionally, as in with qualifications, it just put me off. And again, I was young, naive, you know, easily heartbroken about these things.
So when did you get a thicker skin? Because I mean, half of I mean, in any creative line, I think you deal with a hell of a lot of rejection and people constantly trying to undermine you and stuff like that. How do you kind of get thicker skin and are sure about yourself?
It's been a work in progress. My attitude is, it is what it is. It is what it is. You do your best. At least you know you've done your best. You did everything in your power to do what you wanted to do and try to achieve what you wanted to achieve. And if it's happened, happy days. If it hasn't, then it's okay.
Yeah.
Like, you can't then be depressed for the rest of your life.
Yeah,
life is beautiful. There's so much to do. I'm very blessed where I've got, you know, amazing family. I've got my children, my husband, my friends. You know, I have a good career. I still get work in London. You know, I'm doing shoots, ads, commercials. If theatre opportunities come up within sort of Hindi or Punjabi plays, you know, I'll always have that. So it's not like I'm not doing what I enjoy. You know, obviously times have changed. It's not about just getting a film now. You know, cinema has changed so much. It's not just about films now. TV's so big, and you know, there's so much you can do now.
Do you have a spotlight?
I do. I think my membership's expired.
Okay.
But
I
again,
used to do a lot of casting from Casting Call Pro.
Yeah.
Yeah, I used to find
God.
most of my actors on that.
I joined that when I came back from India.
Yeah.
But I didn't find it very useful.
No?
Not for me at the time, no.
I think there's so many people on it, but a lot of film school students use it because
Absolutely, yeah.
Spotlight is a little harder to navigate, and
Yeah.
Casting Call Pro is basically Facebook for actors.
Actors, exactly.
Yeah.
That's so cool that you know about these portals.
Yeah, I know. We used to use it all the time. So our film school used to hire actors on a daily basis, so that we would be, as students, we could direct these actors
Wow.
on set, and they would pay them 100 quid a day to just
Amazing.
come in
So cool.
and get directed by a bunch of film students.
Yeah.
And then a lot of them would be in our graduation films, in our course films
Amazing.
and stuff like that.
That's so cool.
Yeah, one of them actually went on to do Kite Runner on the West End.
Nice.
Yeah, so
That's big.
Yeah,
West
that
End
is
shows,
big.
yeah.
So I mean, and a lot of them are in a lot of shows and films and
Yeah.
stuff. But this was kind of like a consistent side hustle. Like you make a couple of £100 a week just
Yeah.
by going in for a day
Yeah.
or two, and
Aw.
yeah, and then they would
That's
do a lot
pretty
of our short
cool.
films.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we used to use a lot of the resources. But have you tried doing that now or no? What about?
I'm busy.
Yeah.
I'm really busy. As in, when I say that, I'm saying it
I mean,
in
you
a...
do have a career.
Yeah, I've got
other
a
than this.
career, but also I'm very fortunate that I can still, you know, I do a lot of shoots and things like that, and I enjoy it, being in front of the camera. And I'm also a mother. I have multiple roles. It's funny when people ask me, what do you do? And I always have to pause and say, like, what is it that I don't do? I do so much. And I still want to do lots more. Like, I don't want to limit myself. And I even say this to my children, you know, when an opportunity comes, and you think you can't do it, just take it anyway. Take it, try it. You may love it, you may hate it, at least you tried it and you've got nothing to lose.
Yeah.
I have changed multiple careers. I have done different things, and people always, say, where do you get this energy from? In fact, one person made a very bizarre comment about, don't you just want to stick to one job? And I'm like, why should I stick to one job? How boring would life be if I stuck to one job?
No, I completely understand.
That's not life for me. I want to do different things. I want to travel. I want to work. I want to act. I want to do therapy. I love talking to people. Like,
is it a private practice or do you?
I do my own private patients.
Okay, so is it hard to then, like, if you get a show, do you ever have to like cancel on someone?
Absolutely.
And stuff like that?
Yeah, all the time.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but it's fine. And I guess that's the quality of working for yourself. You are able to say, okay, so, you have a weekly session with one of your clients, and then you can let them know, you'll be, like in any job, if you have a holiday booked for 2 weeks or 3 weeks, then, shall we continue? But say if I am going somewhere away for a shoot, I'm more than happy to speak to them on the day and time that they want, as long as it's maybe not the exact time, but,
Like an online session?
Online session, we can do it on Zoom, we can do it over the phone. So that's still, you can do that from anywhere in the world. So I'm not doing any patients while I'm in India.
Okay.
But yeah, I'm not here that long, but normally you can do that, yeah.
What's your plan now? Why did you, what changed? What made you want to book your flight and come here?
Yeah, when people ask me my plan, my answer is always
No,
like...
not your plan. What made you want to do this? Like come back to it or pursue it again?
Okay, so Karan, I had an itch. I've had this itch for years. And I'm just like, why have I never returned to Hyderabad? Like, okay, fine, I came back and there were a lot of questions. I feel like things probably happened that I didn't even know about, a lot of question marks, but let's not go into that. But I was always treated with a lot of respect by everyone I worked for. Not just the films, in between you end up doing ads and events and store openings and shows. So all that was happening as well. So I just had this itch and it was there for a few years. And then obviously I got married and had my children, and then you got busy in life. And yeah, I guess that it just heightened over the years. And I guess I had a bit of a, moment where I was like at my healthiest and fittest, and I felt good about myself. This another level of confidence just came into me. And then obviously, as you know, last year, Manmadhudu re-released in August. For me, that was like, this is a calling, like that something's happening and I just feel like I need to tap into that. So I just said to my husband, babe, I'm going to India. And he's like, go, do what you have to do. And I've come and it's been amazing. Like literally been catching up with old friends, meeting a lot of people. So yeah, it's really, really nice. But again, with zero plans. I haven't come here to secure a film because it doesn't work like that. Everyone knows that. It can take years to secure a film. It's just showing my face and saying, hey, I'm alive, I'm around. That was another rumor that, I disappeared so suddenly, did she die? So that, which was not very nice, but, understandably, people are going to question because it's not like I said, I'd had a farewell interview. It was nothing like that. It was quite abruptly I did leave, which is obviously not nice. And it's not very, I guess, reassuring to directors and producers that, oh my God, what if she does it again? But it was just a phase. But yeah, no plans. I just want to be visible. Just because somebody lives in a different country doesn't mean they're not around to work.
Yeah.
It's a very common thing now. There's a lot of actors that live abroad, yet, they're traveling every other week to different locations.
In fact, because of COVID, most auditions have become online.
Yeah.
Everyone's self-tests, and like casting directors literally barely call people into their offices anymore.
Oh, wow.
They just ask you to send a self-test.
Yeah.
And if they want to meet you, they'll call you.
Interesting.
Yeah, so it's moved more towards that. So I think it adds that level of flexibility. And I know so many actors who are from Hyderabad who tell people that they live in Bombay so that they don't get rejected for work.
Oh.
And they just book a flight the day of the audition and go. They just pretend they live in another city.
I know, but this is it. These are little fears that people have.
Yeah.
If they say they live here, they'll be put off. And I'm sure that's something. I mean, I guess times have changed, I'm not that young single girl I was. I'm a married woman. I've had 2 children. I live in a different country, but those shouldn't be barriers. And I want to try and break those barriers. I know I might not be able to, but at least I know I'd at least tried.
So back when you did your first few films, most films were dubbed at that time, and now films, at least even in the South, are moving towards sync sound.
Oh.
So do you have any fears about that, or do you want to do language training, or what kind of things?
To
you
be
have in mind?
honest, when I was working here 20 years ago, I did pick up the language very quickly. I really did. Times moved on and I've forgotten,
Yeah,
quite frankly speaking. But I know if I was back,
it's a bit of muscle memory also with language,
Yeah.
right?
yeah, absolutely. And I know, if I'm back and I'm working in that environment around Telugu people, again, I'll just pick it up. I have that much confidence in myself. And I think when I speak Telugu, I can sound quite cute because obviously I have the British accent to go with it. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
And are you considering doing more theatre in the UK, or doing more acting training, or?
Probably not acting training. I don't think I need the training, but there's always room for improvement. But it's also a big investment, right? Not a financial investment. That's also there, which is not the problem. It's more the time investment, especially when you have your children and you're already working and shooting, and sometimes you do your theatre plays and you're learning. So I think I'm doing okay in that respect.
Okay. Would you ever consider trying to make your own film?
I would love to.
Yeah.
Yeah, you've just given me an idea. When you say make my own film, do you mean like direct or produce?
Produce and act in it.
Yeah, but the thing is, I don't have any knowledge of production and producing. That's the issue. If I did, definitely something I wouldn't disregard. I would consider it. But yeah, I've never actually thought about it. You've just planted a seed, Karan.
When did you blow up on Instagram again, though?
Oh, that. I have
Because
to.
I had no idea that you were around, and then Mum one day just told me that, you remember
Yeah.
Anshu from Manmadhudu? I was like,
Yeah.
yeah. She was like, she's on Instagram.
Oh my God. It was actually because of the re-release of Manmadhudu. So
Okay.
I give all credit to Annapurna Studios, 100%. I had like maybe 10,000 following, just of people in Hyderabad that probably remembered me, just really small.
So
And
your
even-
profile was always public, though.
Yeah. When the re-release happened, I went up to like 100,000 followers. And obviously, retrospectively speaking, in comparison to many actors now, and even like actors that no longer act, who have settled down and stuff and are happy in their new lives, they have way more followers than me. But it's not about the number. I don't really care.
Yeah.
Even if I had 20,000 or 5,000, but obviously 100,000 is still like a big deal.
Yeah, and it gets you brand endorsements. It gets you
Yeah.
visibility.
Exactly. And I've actually got a lot of work through my Instagram.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a great platform. But I'm not somebody who, somebody once said to me, you should hide the number of likes you get on your posts. And I'm like, why? They're like, because some get more than others, and then people are going to think you have fake followers and this, that, and the other. I'm just, oh my God, this is too much for me. I can't cope. Like, it's all algorithm. People know that.
Yeah.
So I'm just like, I'm not doing any of that. I'm just going to keep it authentic. This is me. This is my life. This is my work. This is my family. If you like it, happy days. If you don't, unfollow. So yeah.
There's no chance that, because of the growth in Instagram, also won't people in the UK take you more seriously as an actor? Because there are a lot of actors who are in the UK that get jobs.
Yeah. I guess it is down to the fact that I probably need to look into more of the agencies, because essentially you get work through the agencies, which
Yeah.
I'll be honest, I put my hands up high. I haven't really explored it as aggressively as maybe I can or I should. But I guess there's two things, right? You either have a burning desire or you have a desire. I have a desire, but not a burning desire. So once that desire becomes burning, I'm sure I can rock the world. But yeah.
And what about Hindi?
Hindi I can speak.
No, I mean like Hindi projects. Have you?
Oh, God.
Like how are you going to? Because see, it's so confusing for someone who doesn't have a base in India to want to navigate a career over here, right?
Yeah.
Like, do you have anyone who advises you, or do you have people who you talk to about this?
No, I've
No.
never really asked for advice.
No.
I've never even, I guess there's so many industries now. You've got the Hindi industry, you've got the Hindi film industry, you've got the Telugu film industry, lots of industries in India. Where do you stop? I guess the attraction with Hyderabad is I have worked here. I'm a little known, a little bit known. So that's,
I mean,
counts for
everyone who's seen
something.
a Telugu film has seen Manmadhudu.
yeah. So I guess it makes more sense for me to be here. And I love Telugu films. They're the best. They really are.
Well, any recent Telugu films that you've seen that you really liked?
So recently I've seen Hi Nanna. Absolutely loved the film. Loved the film. It was so beautifully made. The screenplay, the casting, the actors were great. The direction was phenomenal. Loved the film. Seen it 3 times already.
Oh, wow.
I watched Bhagwant Kesari with Balakrishna sir and Sri Leela. I went with zero expectation because I'd never seen any of his films, and I was blown away.
No, I didn't expect you to watch any Telugu movie. I thought like once you left, like you'd be
And I
completely
watched
cut
a
off
Tamil
from
film. I watched Leo recently with Vijay sir. I recently watched Varasudu
it. Yeah,
with Vijay and Rashmika.
yeah.
Loved the film. So I do watch a lot of Telugu films. I also watched Mahesh Babu's recent film.
Guntur Karam.
Yes, that was nice. Great dancing, great acting.
So wait, before OTTs, did you have any exposure to Telugu films after you left? Because now everything's available
They
online,
do
right?
come out in the cinemas, but unfortunately, it's literally 1 or 2 days
Yeah.
and at very selected cinemas.
I remember a friend's movie was releasing and I was in London and the only place it was playing in was like, I think it was in Bedfordshire, which was the closest.
That's not even London.
Yeah, that's not.
Yeah,
It was
exactly.
an hour and a half
Yeah,
away.
so like, for example, recently Narx's film released, Na Samiranga. I had to watch it. It looked amazing. And I was straight on the internet, right? Like, where am I going to watch this? And the closest theatre was about 4 hours away by car. And it was literally on for like 2 or 3 days. So it's very limited. But it's getting more now. Not going to lie, it's getting better. They are showing a lot more Telugu films and Tamil films. So that's quite nice. And I'm hoping to see it get even more accessible over the years.
So what's been the toughest part of your journey so far with acting?
The journey itself was beautiful. It's just the sustainability and the continuation that was a bit tough. People ask me, do you have regrets? I don't have regrets. I wish, actually, it's not a regret, but I wish I was maybe a bit older. I would have been wiser, more independent, more accessible. When you're that young, you're still a bit like, oh, I need my dad, or, you're a bit sort of naive and vulnerable, right? Vulnerable.
Correct. And at that age, you also have a tendency of people can take advantage of you,
They
overwork
can.
you. They can do all these
They
things which
can.
you won't have a voice to.
Exactly. So people always say, do you feel, resentment towards your dad? I'm like, no. Because actually, if I think about it, if that was my daughter, hell yeah, I'm going to be with her.
Yeah.
At least for the first few years.
No, of course, because, and it's not only with you, like a lot of actors who are even 18, 19, they're still,
Yeah.
at 18, you're not an adult, you're still practically a child.
Yeah.
And you do have parents coming to set because at that age, like you're just willing to do anything to please and not to like
Jeopardize
or be an inconvenience to other people. So people will take that for granted.
Yeah, but then I think I also used to think, well, Sri Devi, she was so young when she started movies. She was 12 or 13. And then I only recently came to know that Charmi, who worked in Telugu films, she was 13, 14. So I was like, and I thought I was the baby. There were actresses younger than me.
Yeah.
So actually, it's hard. I would not advise it. I would say, wait until you're in your early 20s. You have your education behind you. You have that confidence. You have access, as in people have access to you. And you can own it. You can genuinely own it and make those decisions for yourself and not have somebody else make those decisions for you, whether it's a manager, whether it's a parent, whether it's a friend. You need to have that strength and confidence first.
Are there a lot of Indians living in the UK who want to work in India as actors?
Yeah, and I think they do come. They do the whole struggle. Some make it, some don't. So, yeah.
But what kind of advice would you have based on your own experiences for people like that who want to take the risk and like move
Come to
here?
India. So I guess my advice would be come prepared. Be prepared in the sense that, you will get rejected. Of course you will. That's going to be the first thing that happens. Rejection, rejection, rejection. And don't lose hope. Don't lose faith. If you genuinely have a passion for it, just become stronger. Go with zero expectation. But just hustle and keep working. This is something that I'd like to do at some point for India.
Is there anything you learned from theatre that you can apply to your acting that you would do now? because you were doing theatre as a minor earlier, and now you've done theatre
Yeah, as an adult, yeah.
as an adult.
I mean, it's so much harder than films.
Yeah.
Like, you have to learn so many lines on the spot. There's no cuts. There's no retakes.
Yeah, and someone fucks up, you kind
Yeah.
of have to like keep your face, continue.
I skipped a whole 3 scenes and went on to a completely different scene. And it was hilarious because my co-actor actually said on stage, in a funny way, so it looked like a comedy scene, "You skipped 3 scenes." And I was like, ah. And then literally, so that happened to me once. But yeah, theatre is obviously a lot harder. You have a lot of lines to learn. You know, you have to be very present. So in terms of film, obviously you find naturally a lot easier in that sense.
You
But
get
then
another
obviously-
take.
Yeah, you get retakes, you know, things are done in shortcuts. I mean, some long scenes as well. But again, in comparison, it is easier. But I guess the harder thing is, you know, everything's really, you know, tight frames. You've got to be more mindful of your hair, every strand of hair on your face, you know, bit of lipstick out. Whereas in theatre, those things aren't really captured, right?
Correct.
Because you're on stage.
And also you have to understand camera presence. Like you have to kind of understand how to catch the light, because if there's movement in the scene and the light is coming in this direction,
Exactly.
you can't be like this.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have to kind of
Yeah.
also keep that in mind. And also I think movements kind of become smaller, because in theater, if you're doing like a big West End play, it's a huge audience. So your body language is a lot more. But when you're doing those smaller plays, which are just 100, 200 seaters, that's, I think, closer to cinema acting, right?
It is, because it's almost like a set, right?
Yeah.
Well, maybe a bit more, but yeah. Yeah, I agree.
Have you ever got work because of a performance on stage? Like after the play, someone come up to you and said, "Oh my God, I love you. Can you do my play? Can you read
There
for this
have been
part?"
discussions, yeah. Yeah. I did one.
Okay.
Yeah, you get one from that. So yeah, it does happen.
So how do you balance the timings though? Because I mean, if you have a full-time job, would you have like targets of, okay, I can do maybe a play every 3 months?
I haven't committed to a play in a while.
No?
It's been a while. And I guess it's just that phase of your life, right? Because with theatre, it's a very big commitment. It's a different type of commitment. You're not just performing like every weekend, you know, in the evenings. You're committing to like
Multiple shows.
rehearsals.
Yeah.
That's the main thing. It's all the rehearsals, the script reading, and you have to rehearse like for hours and hours every single day for months and months.
But are the actors all doing other jobs as well? Because then,
Yeah.
so then you probably have to
trying
do
to,
only in
yeah.
the evenings, or
Yeah.
like,
So it's limited. Whereas with film, it's different. You know,
Yeah.
you just kind of, you know, you go to your initial meetings. You might have a couple of rehearsals here and there. You do a lot on set, which helps.
Yeah.
So yeah. So like with Manmadhudu, I had a lot of people say it was a really small role, and I agree it was. You know, I think my work was mainly 15 days.
but it was impactful. People talk about it.
Exactly.
There are no small parts. There are only small actors.
I'm all for small parts. I would happily, if I got an offer for a film, which is like I did Missima with Bhumika Chawla. Why did I do it? The director was a national award-winning director. I got to work with the best team. I got to work with Bhumika, who was a big star back then. You know, so I'm all for working with the right people. Doesn't matter how big the role is. You know, it's impactful. That's what matters. Whether it's just a song, whether it's just one scene, whether it's a supporting role. I appreciate I can't possibly be a heroine now. I'm a married woman with kids, but then at the same time, I do want to break boundaries and say, actually, why can't I?
Yeah.
But it's about changing people's mindsets, and I can't control that, you know?
And I think it's also about people like seeing you around.
Yeah.
Like if you keep doing work, the work will increase. When people work with people, they want people who are consistent, people who
Yeah.
want to show up on set and give their 100%. And
Yeah.
I think that takes a little time to build.
Yeah, you have to build
towards.
the trust.
Yeah.
And I'm sure I have broken trust by leaving the way I did.
You were a child at that time. No one would, I
But
think,
one thing I
hold
can
it
definitely
against
say
you.
about myself is I am very committed, very hardworking. I'm a director's actor. I think everyone is a director's actor, actually. And yeah, and you know, once I've committed, I'm committed. I do admire that about myself.
I
my
mean,
work
I'm
ethic.
looking forward to seeing you in something very soon. And
Yes.
hopefully you act in something I make.
Yes, that'd
Yeah.
be awesome.
Yeah.
I think it'll be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did your kids watch your films, by the way?
No.
How come?
I don't know. I feel, as bad as it sounds, they're still young.
Okay.
As in, my daughter's 8 going on to 9.
She's the
going on
older
to-
one?
Yeah, but she's
Okay.
practically like a teenager. My son is 6. And I don't know, I just feel like if they saw it, they may not like me dancing around with other men. But it's fine, they'll get over it eventually. But I'll just wait a bit longer. My daughter and I, we watched Bahubali together,
Okay.
part 1 and 2. She was 4 or 5 at the time. She loved it. She watched it all with the subtitles. And she actually did a little documentary on the movie and what it was about. And I
that's super
posted it on my
cute.
Instagram.
That's super cute.
And she was so cute. She was like, you know, Bahubali was the good guy. His brother Balal Deva was like this. And Queen Sivagami got stabbed. And, you know, it was just so cute. And I was so proud of her.
Yeah.
And then I said, you know, Shania, I worked with this actor. He's really big now. But she was like, really? Can I see? But then again, I die in that film, so I don't think I want her to see all that just yet.
Yeah, I think I was around when we shot that sequence. Wasn't it in Bangalore where you die?
I died in Manmadhudu as
Yeah.
well, and
Oh.
Raghavindra.
Oh, you died in both films?
Yeah, that's why I think people thought I actually died in real life.
Okay.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah, no, I remember we shot the Manmadhudu accident sequence in Bangalore, I
yeah,
think.
in the car.
Yeah.
I think that was Bangalore. We did shoot. Yeah, we did shoot. That was the first schedule, Bangalore. Yeah.
Because that was the only time I came on set. And I remember you wanting chocolate
Yeah.
throughout. Because I think you were drained of energy and it was so hot. So you
Yeah,
were
I
dying in the
needed-
heat and
yeah.
just wanted chocolate to keep you going.
That happened to me when we shot the song as well, Gundilu Mundo. I was like, I need a chocolate. Initially, Manmadhudu was meant to have 2 new girls, and I was meant to have like the main part. Obviously, when I got to India, I came to know Sonali Bendre was the other actress, and I was like, literally like, then why am I doing this? Is it going to be a really small role? Is it going to be, you know, I had all these questions, and the director, Mr. Vijay Bhaskar, he really explained to me, he goes, look, Anshu, if that was the case, we would not call you all the way from London. So he was really reassuring. And actually, I was boosted that Sonali Bendre was in the movie because, again, big Bollywood actress. And I was like, wow, it's
Yeah.
huge for me. Having Nagsa and her in the same movie, it's like,
Yeah, and
Goals.
your first
I
film.
know, right?
Yeah.
I was like, oh my God, I want to be so popular with my friends. And that's what mattered back then, how
Yeah.
popular and cool you look.
But how did people react when you went back to the UK after 4 films?
They were like, what happened? Is it true that they mistreat actresses and they get you to do X, Y, and Z? And I was like, it might be, but I didn't have that experience. So I
Yeah.
was just like, I was just missing home and I want to do my A-levels. I
But
just kept it really like,
did it ever go to your head?
of course.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, you know, I was the unpopular kid at school. You know, I wasn't really popular. I was kind of bullied here and there, on and off. And, you know, it does make you feel good. It boosts your ego, right? But I never let it get to my head in the sense that,
You
you know,
never put anyone else down
yeah, I
because
didn't,
of...
you know, think I was above anyone and anyone was below me. I don't believe in that. Even now, I think, you know, I have friends that come from wealth. I have friends that literally come from zero wealth, and it doesn't matter to me. If they fuel my soul and they make me feel good and I feel good being with them. Actually, a friend's husband said this, that every relationship is transactional. And since I heard that, now I always say it. Every relationship is transactional, but the transaction I need is more an emotional transaction. It's very much having that connection, that good vibe, that energy.
So Anshu, parting words of wisdom.
My only words of wisdom will be, do what sits right with you. If you have this niggling feeling in your heart or chest or wherever, then that's an energy, and that's also, I guess, a gut feeling. Go with it. You know, don't do something that you're not happy with. And I guess learn to become stronger. It doesn't happen overnight. Experiences make you stronger. So yeah, and just do what you're passionate about. Do what you're passionate about. Give it your all. And don't think if something hasn't worked out, then you're a failure, because you're not. Life is beautiful. There's so much to see, so much to do. When one door closes, another window opens. As you know, these things do happen. And, you know, if you're going through a bit of a downside, just remember the downhill will not always continue. You will rise eventually. And again, when you're rising, you may drop down. So just be humble with whatever you do. Remember to be kind to people, command respect, and, you know, do it in a nice way. And then, you know, the world's your oyster, basically.
That's great advice. So thank you so much for coming, Anshu.
Thanks for having me, Karan.
And like, share, subscribe, and all talent agents have to contact Anshu now.
Please,
And
I'm here.
And she's back.
I'm back.
And yeah, so thanks for
Cool.
coming.
Thanks for having me.